Well, the Kansas City Royals have officially released their updated renderings. Remember, they were deciding between two stadiums, and the one that they picked, I gotta be honest, it seems like they changed a lot of the design, taking a lot of seating out of the upper deck and putting it into the outfield area. We've also got a brand new fountain design. There is a lot to get to when it comes to this brand new downtown Kansas City stadium. As you can see, the first shot, the first thing I'm sure everyone notices is the almost like stair step waterfall design, fountain design out in center field. There is a huge incorporation of fountains, and look right above that at the seating that kind of angles in and out. That would be an interesting place to sit. You've got water supposedly flowing right under you, and then you have fountains behind that. I'm sure it's kind of an illusion. They're probably far behind that. In this image, in this render, it kind of looks like they're right up against the fans. But yeah, what a crazy center field design. This stair step waterfall. I will say one thing I immediately do not like is that green wall underneath the fountains. That needs to be dressed up. You need to do something with that. You know, people might say, I wonder how the batter's eye would work with moving water in center field. I wonder if that would be an issue. I guess not, but it does look like a pretty rapid waterfall out there in center field. And then there you can see right on the left, there's some smaller seating. Moving to the full left field area, the left field stands looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe about 5.5 sections of large walls of seats. I would almost be tempted if I was the Royals to split that up into two sections. You have a smaller, or you have a bigger section, and then on top of that, you have a smaller section. That just looks like a big wall of seats when you have that many rows. I do think it can get a little bit ugly and tough to fill the full capacity with something like that, so I would consider splitting that up. That is pushed back because you can see right in front of it you have the bullpens, and the way they're doing bullpens now, a lot of these stadiums are doing it like this. First of all, I hate the idea of doing horizontal bullpens, meaning bullpens that take up a lot of the outfield space rather than vertical. They should do vertical, but I guess just the way this stadium sits, you've got both bullpens horizontally going stacked on top of each other, kind of like Progressive Field, and then on top of that, behind it, you've got the giant wall of seats there, which again does surprise me a bit. Moving on down to the third base foul line, you can see almost a Petco Park type building incorporation with the brick, with the little balconies where people can watch the games. And then on top of that, you don't have seating on the roof. You've got another scoreboard. So that's what they're going with in terms of that. Another crazy interesting thing you can see looks like two upper sections of seats, very small sections, probably only have about 12 to 14 rows. And then look at that to the left. Nothing is there. Now, Comerica Park has a split upper deck. Great American Ballpark has a split upper deck, but it's nothing like this. That is a giant gap in between. The only place I've seen a big gap like that down the third base line would be at a minor league stadium. That would be the first in MLB. And honestly, the White Sox are doing something very similar with their upper deck. There is just nothing to these stadiums because they've only got a capacity of around 30,000 and they're putting such a high emphasis on outfield seating. And I agree, if you've got a small capacity like this and you're still trying to make it feel like an MLB game, you cannot do what the Athletics did, the Las Vegas Athletics, when they put out their renderings and they had a decently sized upper deck, but it made the outfield seating look like minor league. So a lot of these teams are putting emphasis on outfield seating, not upper deck seating, and there's a giant gap, and there's barely even an upper deck to speak of in terms of this stadium. Moving on to the next image, you can see the exterior. This is a good look at the exterior. I guess it's okay. I don't have any real issue with the exterior. You can see a little bit of an overhang going on the upper deck, possibly protecting some of the fans from the rain, although it's certainly not a big overhang. I wouldn't call it like anything different than what we've seen from normal MLB stadiums. And then the exterior, you know, I would like to see more of an incorporation of making a sleeker looking exterior when you're talking about this being a brand new ballpark, but it is what it is. You know, it's closed off. You can see right to the north of this photo, the T-Mobile Center, I believe. Yeah, that's a nice arena that's currently kind of vacant because Kansas City does not have an NBA team. They do not have an NHL team, but you'll see how that's incorporated in downtown Kansas City in this photo, they've got a land bridge connecting right to it. And this photo just strikes me, and you can see just such a small amount of seating there in the upper deck. It is tiny, and it also looks like they've got an incorporation of another brick building down the first base line as well. And then seemingly 2 or 3 straight areas of standing room right next to the foul pole. You can see those levels where I'm guessing, I'm not sure if that's actually a hot tub on the second level. If you're seeing that little blue area, is that actually a hot tub? Maybe you got a nice little hot tub there, and then looks like fountains on the third upper level of that. So yeah, this is a pretty impressive stadium. It's hard to get used to these stadiums, just how small they are normally. Again, even the Royals past designs, they had, a much higher up upper deck. You would have more sections of upper deck seating. The ballpark would just present better. I understand those seats are normally really bad and people don't sit in them, but you can see this is the land bridge going from the T-Mobile Center, which is the arena, straight to the ballpark, and this gives you a better look at that little area up top there where people looks like rooftop seating there. And of course, you've got the grass on the roof as well and trees behind it just randomly. Oh, I guess I guess the split upper deck looks a little bit better in this image. It doesn't look, the gap in between doesn't look nearly as big. But this is kind of a hard, angle to see any type of perspective other than just how low the upper deck is going all the way around this stadium. Then you do also have some fountains. You can see the more incorporation of some fountains, and looks like a man-made pond, 3 little man-made ponds on the exterior of this stadium. And then here is the actual aerial design. South Loop Park is what it's called. Getting a look at this and seeing the development. One thing I almost forgot to mention, the amount of views from hotels and from apartments over top. So that's another thing that's incorporated into this stadium. You can see to the right on this image above like right center field, looks like you've got multiple buildings, multiple high-rise. One of those I know is a hotel with views of the stadium. They're trying to incorporate that. More and more teams are doing it. And also another thing, I forgot to take a look at this right-hand side, and you've got another massive waterfall. Almost looks like it's cut right in between the sections. Am I seeing that correctly? It's hard to really tell what's going on there. You also do have a massive standing room area going all the way out right there as well. And then also there was like rooftop seating that I saw. I mean, I'm not sure what type of angle that building is at to where that could be rooftop seating, but I don't know. I guess they're going to try and have rooftop seating there as well. There's a better perspective on, it looks like they've got some type of green patch in center field there. So look, those are like 2 different renderings. The first, no, that's just a wall. Yeah, that's the green wall, I think. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy stair-step waterfall design. I mean, I think it's cool. This is a good-looking ballpark for sure. It's just hard to really, it's just a very small park. I mean, it's the White Sox. This is the exact same reaction I had to the White Sox ballpark. I will say, I think this design is better, mainly because the Royals have more to work with. I mean, the Royals understand that they have an extremely unique aspect to their stadium and its waterfalls, and they're taking advantage of it. And other teams obviously can't copy it because you'll be copying the Royals. So they're taking advantage of it with newer technology, with better, more efficient waterfalls, and that's why they've got that center field design. And this image, this aerial shot shows you just how big that left field lower bowl seating area is. I would be tempted to redesign that, honestly, if I was the Royals. Now, it's interesting, in this image, it really doesn't depict where the bullpens are. Apparently, they're out in left field, but you can't see them in this image. And then how about how it seems like the development in the ballpark district almost overlaps onto center field. Like, you can see that building. I'm guessing if you look and you see that little blue area and the green, I'm guessing that's a roof of something. So, like, these buildings go directly on top of the actual stadium. It's fully incorporated. You can see this is another shot of it. Royals Park, South Loop Park, T-Mobile Center, and just other stuff that they're talking about, all within walking distance. That's what they're trying to convey in these images. So this is a big update. I really didn't expect them to change it this much. They were deciding between 2 different stadiums, and they chose the one, and they were pretty extensive renderings. Do I think this ballpark is better than the one they were going to choose? It's hard to say. I have to say I like the other one just because it seemed like a more rounded out MLB stadium with an upper deck going around like each foul pole personally. This one has a more intricate outfield design in terms of the interesting waterfall, the incorporation of it down right field, also the incorporation of some type of, building, some brick building down both foul lines. And then you do have the split upper deck, but the upper deck is just extremely small. I really wish, I know they want limited capacity. It's just hard to get used to with these stadiums. They're so tiny. And I thought they might try and build a little bit of a bigger stadium, but it does seem like the capacity is definitely lower. Either way, that is the updated renderings on the Kansas City Royals' next ballpark. And we would expect this to possibly be built by, I would say 2028, 2029, probably 2028 though, that they're releasing these renderings, that they know their spot in downtown Kansas City. RIP to the one design that I loved, that had a bunch of standing room going around the top areas of the outfield. Rest in peace. But either way, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.